So I'm just going to wait for a few of you to hop on. This is the painting that we're going to make tonight. You do not have to use the same colors. So it just says live, laugh, love. You don't even have to write that if you don't want to. But this is the basic painting. And you can change a lot of it if you want. But I am going to walk you through. So I'm going to wait about maybe 3 more minutes just to make sure everyone's on here so no one gets nervous and tries to catch up. So again, let me repeat what I said before. I am using a 9x12 canvas. Okay, the smallest I would recommend that you use is an 8x10, which is about the size of a piece of paper. So that's what you want to start with. You need some paper towels. You might want to keep some extra near you. That way you don't have to get up. You need plastic bin or a cup with some water in it. A small brush. This one's kind of like flat. And then you need a bigger brush. You need some kind of bigger brush. You can't really do this background by using just a small brush, okay? So if you don't have a brush that's a little bit bigger, I would probably hold off on this until you can get one, because it's really not going to work out great if you're just using one small brush, okay? You need the big one to do the background to blend the colors. And then you obviously need a paper plate to put your paint on. The only colors that are mandatory are going to be white, brown, and black, okay? Any other color is your choice, okay? We need the white, brown, and black to do our background. We're all going to do that the same. Other than that, you can change the colors for the rest. So that's up to you with what colors you want to use. So in the original one, the colors for the flowers were orange, yellow, and pink, okay? So I'm going to change it up a little bit today, because why do the same thing, right? So instead of, I'm just going to switch it a little bit. I'm just going to use pink, orange, and turquoise to replace the yellow, because the yellow is kind of eh. So that's all. But again, you need to have a lot of white, some brown, some black. Those are the 3 main colors so we can do our background. And then the rest of the colors are your choice, okay? All right, so let's get started. So the first thing you need to do, no matter what size canvas you have, I'm not measuring because everyone has a different size. It's kind of hard to do because I'm not there to see. So hold your canvas this way, horizontal, not vertical. So your canvas needs to be horizontal like this. Okay, you need to find the middle of your canvas. So put your finger in the middle of your canvas, right here. Find the middle, okay? So find the middle first, and then you're going to find the middle of that. So pretty much you want to go about a quarter way up your canvas, okay? So if this is the middle, you want to go down to about here. So a quarter way up the bottom. This is going to be like the table or whatever the vase is sitting on. That's where it needs to go. So find the middle, and then the middle of the middle, which is like a quarter way up your canvas. I can't honestly measure that because you might have a different size than I have. So once you figure out where that's going to go, then you need to either take a ruler or something that you can use to make a straight line. If you have another canvas handy, you can use the top of the canvas to make a straight line. Again, a ruler, a piece of paper, anything that's straight. Okay, and let me, I'm going to do that with a marker, see if the marker wants to work. So I'm going to trace that on my canvas in marker so you can kind of see where I want you to put it, okay? I'm going to hold this up, so don't worry. Okay. So you need to put a line about right here. So again, it doesn't matter what size you have. You want to put this straight line all the way across, about a quarter or a little bit more than a quarter up the side of your canvas. So again, the middle is probably maybe right here-ish. So you can kind of see where I have that line. And you want to do a straight line across your canvas. Okay? Do not do it in the middle. It needs to be way down here. Okay, So back to the painting. So straight line across. And then after you do that, we're going to put some paint on our plate, okay? So you need some white, about a quarter, size of a quarter, and you might be needing more. For now, just do about a quarter size amount of white paint. I don't want you wasting paint because who knows when you'll be able to get more if you run out, because we have to order much of the stuff online now. I know Walmart sells paint, but I don't know how much they have. So just use a little bit of paint, and then when you run out, then add more. You don't want to waste it. So quarter size amount of white, about a dime size or a nickel size of brown, and then an even smaller amount of black. Very little black. Okay? So what I need you to do, okay, I need you to find your big brush. What I like to do is I like to tap it to get most of the water off. If you don't like tap it out, you take it out of the water, it's going to soak your paper towel. Your paper towel is going to get soaked right away. So after you rinse the brush or whatever, take it out of the water, try to tap or even like squeegee. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Like get most of the water off so you don't soak your paper towel, okay? Then you're going to take your brush and you're just going to press it lightly. You don't want to dry your brush completely, okay? So I'm just pressing it lightly on both sides. Your brush needs to be damp, okay? If it's not damp, you dried it too much and you need to wet it a little bit again. So the brush should not be dripping. There should be no water dripping, but the bristle should be damp because it needs to spread the paint. We don't want a dry brush, okay? So what we're going to do, if we look closely, the brush has two corners. Right corner, left corner. It doesn't matter which one you use. You're going to dip one corner into white. You see how I kept it all on that side? So dip one corner into white paint and then flip it this way and dip the other corner into brown paint. So you can have brown and white on your brush at the same time in opposite corners, okay? Now I'm going to be painting backwards. It's the first time, so it's a little different for me. So you want to hold your brush this way. It doesn't matter if the white or brown is on top. It could be this way or this way, but the brush needs to be like this. So not this way, that way, or that way, okay? You can kind of see how I put it on the canvas. Again, it doesn't matter if the brown or white is on top, makes no difference, okay? As long as you're holding the brush this way. So one color is on top of the other, okay? You're gonna start at the top of your canvas, okay? And you're gonna go back and forth, long strokes. Try not to lift your brush off the canvas until you get to the opposite end, okay? So I'm gonna start over here. And again, I'm doing this sitting down backwards, so, you know, I'm going to start in the middle just because it's easier to see. So start there, and see how I don't lift my brush up until I get to the opposite side. So you're going to keep doing that, and try to do it in a straight line, not crooked like me. And you want it to look streaky, okay? So when there's no more paint on your brush, you're going to do it again. Dip white and dip brown. Keep doing white and brown on your brush until everything above this line is white and brown streaks. You don't want it to overblend. You want to see different color streaks, different shades of brown. You want to see some white in there. So don't overblend, because then you'll just get one solid color, and that's pointless. That defeats the purpose, okay? So again, just go back and forth. If you're having trouble spreading out your paint, wet your brush a little bit. If it's not spreading, that means your brush is too dry. So if you want, you can like dip the corner into the water a little bit, and that will help spread your paint a little bit. Don't wet it too much though, okay? So again, I'm just going back into my white and my brown, and I'm just gonna keep doing that and filling this in. I want streaks, not a solid color. Okay, so streaky. But again, I'm trying to like not lift my brush until I get to the opposite end. What happens is if you lift your brush, like say in the middle, what happens is you're gonna see, do you see that line right there? I don't know if you could see it. You'll see where the brush stopped. And when it dries, you're going to see all that. So always go back and just do long strokes. So again, I'm going to keep going back and forth with my white and brown. If you need to replenish the paint, go right ahead. So I think my brush needs to be a little bit more wet, so I'm going to just dip the corner, tap it, so it can spread this paint out a little bit better. Again, very little. Don't add too much water. Try not to stop the brush in the middle of your canvas. Go all the way to the other side. Okay, you see how there's all different shades of brown in there? Don't overblend. I'm going to go back, get some more. I'm going to finish the top here. Now you can paint the sides and the top, but I need you to finish the front first because this needs to dry. We can't do our flowers or the vase until the front of this canvas is dry. So yes, you can do the top and you can do the sides, but I need you to finish your entire front first before you start doing the sides, okay? Yeah, I can't really do an easel like this. I usually do the kids' paintings. I'm not doing too many adult ones, so it's not really that big of a deal. So to do this once in a while, not a biggie. The kids' stuff is totally different. And I don't mind. So again, you're going up to that pencil line. You're going to stop when you get to that line. You can overlap it a little bit if you need to. If you get some of this brown on your background, that's fine. Okay, so I finished my front, and you could see how it's like all different shades of brown. It's very uneven. So it kind of looks like a panel of wood a little bit. And that's kind of what we're going for, okay? So don't overblend. So now, if you like it like this, you can stop. But they added some like grays into this background. So what I'm going to do now, so if you're not done, just listen. That way you know what to do when it's time, okay? When you're done doing just the brown and the white, you're going to stop at that line, okay? And then if you want, we're going to add some grays in there. You want a very, very small amount of black. Like when I say small, I mean like a dot of black. So I'm going to put a little bit of white on one side, then I'm going to flip it over. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it, but like such a small amount. And then I'm going to find a clean spot. After I put the black on my brush, I'm actually going to go back and try to dab some of it off, okay? That's how little I want. So I went back and I dabbed most of that off, okay? And what you're going to do now is it's going to look crazy, but we're going to fix it. You're going to very lightly, you're not going to press hard on your brush. You're going to very lightly add some streaks in there. And again, you're not pressing too hard. So I'm going to hold it up so you can see, okay? I know it looks crazy right now.
That's okay. So first I'll show you how to do the rub. I can use the rub.
Okay. Now I'm going to go back with some white and brown again. So after you add those black streaks in there, which are going to end up looking gray, you're going to go back and do a little bit more of the brown and white to blend that black or gray out, okay? So back to my white and brown, and we're going to blend some of those gray streaks out so they're not so potent. See? You can tell like in the middle. So just a little bit of white and brown. Go over those gray areas and kind of blend them out a little bit. See how that looks? So you've got a bunch of colors going on. You got some brown, some tan, some gray, some white. So it kind of looks like wood a little bit. Okay? Once you have this done, then you can start adding some of that brown and white on the sides. Again, obviously stop when you get here because this is going to be a different color. So you can add some brown and white over here, on the top, on the opposite side, okay? But please finish your front first because we need to give this time to dry. Normally when I do these in public, it takes us like almost 2.5 hours. I don't want it to last that long since we're doing this live, and so I'm trying to move along a little bit quicker. So if you think you can't keep up, like I said, you can just watch to see if you're interested, and then go back later and watch the saved video if it's too quick for you, okay?
I'm gonna go do my homework, okay?
I just don't want to have like a 3-hour video. It's also different too, like when we do it in public, people are eating and drinking and they keep stopping, you know, to do other things too, so I'm gonna just wait until some of you catch up with this part. So I'm gonna repeat what I did again. So big brush, I put white on one corner, brown on the other, and I kept going back and forth, and stopped when I got to that line, okay? Then I went back and I put white and a teeny tiny bit of black, added some streaks in there. After I did that, I went back with just brown and white again to blend out some of those grayish black streaks, okay? So again, you don't want to overblend. You want to see all these different colors. And then if you want, you can add some brown and white to the top and to the sides. But please finish the front first, okay? So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to catch up on that. So I want you to wave to me on here, like not physically, obviously. I think there's like a way to say hi or something. If you're physically doing the painting right now. Because I know some of you are just watching to see what it's like, to see if you want to do it. But if you're actually making the painting with me right now, I'm going to say hi. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to put this down for a second so I can show you the finished painting so you can see what color you want to get. I'm just going to put that down really quick. So this is the finished one. So I'm holding it up so you can see the shade of gray that you want, okay? So you want a light to medium gray for the bottom. We're going to create that by mixing white and black together, okay? You don't want it to be too dark because later we're going to have to create a dark gray to make these shadows, okay? So if you end up making it this too dark, you're not going to be able to see your shadows. Or you're going to have to do them in black, okay? So the gray that I want you guys to make when you're done doing the top is this medium shade of gray right here. So mix together some white and black and try to get a gray that looks just like this, okay? And if you need me to hold that up again, please let me know. So I'm going to mix my gray together. If you need me to hold up either painting, let me know. And you're going to mix it on your plate this time, okay? So you're going to mix the black and white together on your plate first. Then we're going to paint the bottom. We're going to do that together. And we're going to still use the big brush. So rinse and dry your big brush when you're done with the brown part. You also don't want your gray to be super light because keep in mind the vases are white. So if your gray is too light, there's not going to be enough contrast between, I don't know if it's a table, it's just whatever, it looks like cement to me, but there's not going to be enough contrast between that and the vase. So again, you don't want it too dark gray, but you don't want it too light either, so there's enough contrast. So I made some on my plate, okay, but it is better to see it on the actual finished painting. So here it is again. Here's the shade of gray that I want you to try and get, like a medium gray, okay? So make that on your plate. When you're done, big brush, okay? You're going to get as close to that pencil line as you can. Do not go up to the pencil line. We're going to do the top of that line using our small brush so it stays straight. So go to as close to that pencil line as you can, but don't go up to it, okay? And again, you're going to go back and forth. Okay? So fill this in with that gray. Nice long strokes, that way you don't have brush marks. And spread that paint out. You don't want any globs, okay? If you don't spread your paint out enough or you use too much paint, you're going to be waiting a long time and you won't be able to keep up to do the next step, okay? So spread that out. Don't use a lot. Okay, so what I did is I filled in this bottom section and then I went as close as I could, but without touching that line that we drew. Because when we're done filling it in with this big brush, we're going to go back with our small brush to make it nice and straight and neat, okay? Again, if you want, when you're done with the front, always finish the front first. You can fill in the bottom and a little bit on each side with this gray as well if you want to do that, okay? So I'll give you guys a few minutes to make your gray and fill this in. And then we're going to grab our small brushes and continue with some gray to straighten out the top. So again, medium gray, fill it in with your big brush. Once you're done with the front, you can add some to the bottom and the sides if you'd like, okay? And then in about another minute, we're going to grab our small brushes with the same gray, and we're just going to straighten out the top to make it look nice and neat. All right, somebody's asking to join the group. Let's see if I'm back. Here I am. All right, so if you lose me for a second, it's just because I had to go approve people to get in the group. I didn't even realize I could do that till today. I was like so afraid that I'd kind of lose the whole video. So that's nice that I can do that and hop back in. Okay, so I've got at least 4 of you that are painting along with me, which is nice. And I guess, like I said, the rest of you, you might want to just watch first and see if you like it. And then go back and do it when you have more time. It's still really nice out. Like my husband, we have like a fire pit. Not like it's the little ones that you can buy. Like when Benny's was still open, you know, those little fire pit things. So he cleaned it all up and he's got the fire going and some marshmallows for the kids, you know. Something, right? Okay, so I'm going to assume we're all done doing this part. We're going to grab a small brush. You're going to dry that brush, dry it completely. You want to even dry the handle because sometimes the water will drip down the handle and back onto the bristles, and that will water down the paint on your canvas. It'll leave like a wet drippy mark and it doesn't look good, and it's actually hard to fix. So you might even want to dry your handle as well on your small brush just to make sure there's no water dripping down, okay? Then you're going to go back into that same gray. Hopefully you have a little bit left. You don't need a lot, just need a little bit, okay? And you're just going to straighten this out. So you're going to go right up to that pencil line and you're just going to make it nice and straight, nice and neat. Again, I'm doing this upside down, so hopefully it looks kind of neat. I'm not really too concerned about this one though because I have the finished product to show you guys. So if something doesn't come out perfect, I could just point to it on the finished one. I'm not going to keep this one. This one is just to teach you with. I have like just enough paint left. I'm like trying not to have to make more of this color. Just enough, I think, to kind of make it look decent. So I'm just straightening out the top with my small brush and the same paint. Keep in mind too, if this isn't perfect, that the vase is going to cover most of it. Again, like mine's got a little messy there, but okay. All right. So that's the best that's going to get for me, but try to make yours as straight as possible, okay? So let me put this down for a second and show you again on the completed one. So you want to just try to get the top of that gray nice and straight if you can, okay? So just straighten that out using your small brush. And hopefully you guys didn't use a lot of paint in your background. So we really can't do too much until our background is almost dry, okay? But I do have something to waste at least 5-10 minutes to let our backgrounds dry. I did this on purpose. Like I said, it's totally different when we're doing this in public, because then when we need our background to dry, I say, okay, everyone just go to the bathroom, go get a drink or order some food. 10 minutes goes by really quick when you're at a restaurant. Sitting here doing this live, I don't want to just sit here and stare at you for 10 minutes while we let our background dry. So what we're going to do while we let our background dry is I'm going to have you guys go find a piece of paper. Any piece of paper, it doesn't matter, okay? Go find a piece of paper. If it's a notebook paper, a piece of copy paper from your machine, just go grab a piece of paper and a pencil with an eraser, preferably. Let's see. So go do that when you're done with your background. And we're going to practice drawing the vases, okay? So we're going to do that. You might want to grab a pair of scissors while you're at it. So a piece of paper, pencil, eraser, and scissors. You're going to make your own stencils for your vase, okay? If you want to freehand it, that's fine, but I know most people don't like freehanding stuff. Plus, you want them to look identical. You don't want them to, maybe you want them all to look different. That's up to you. But I know some people want all of them to be the same exact shape and size. So you might want to create a stencil for that, which is what we're going to do. So I'll give you guys some time to go grab that stuff. Again, any piece of paper, pencil, eraser, and a pair of scissors. I'm going to go grab myself a piece of paper from here. Grab it. Laptop. There we go. Luckily, I was right near my printer, so that worked out. So I just took my painting, I moved it out of the way so it can dry. I've got a pencil, I've got an eraser. Now your paper, if you have a piece of paper, like a regular size piece, I think it's like an 8 by 11, just so you have an idea, okay? And you want to hold it the same way we're holding our canvas, okay? So you want to pretend that this is the canvas, okay? So you want to take this and you want to put that line. Remember how we put that line across the top of the gray? So if you have a ruler or whatever you used before to make that straight line, do it again, but do it on this piece of paper. Okay? So I'm pretty much mimicking what I did on my canvas, okay? I don't know if you could see that. So I'm pretending that this paper is my canvas, and I'm making a straight line across, just like I did in the same spot, or close enough anyway. That way I can make sure that I have enough room for the vase so I don't make the vase too big or too small, okay? So if you look at this completed picture, let's go back to this for a second. The vase does not sit on top of the gray line, okay? It's not starting on the gray line, it's below the gray line. So this rounded part of the vase is kind of like halfway, okay? So that way when you're drawing it on the paper, you know how to do that. So this rounded part on the bottom, about halfway, that line should be halfway up, okay? And it kind of, somebody even said it the other day, it looked like a light bulb. It does remind me of a light bulb shape. You can do a different shape if you'd like, okay? But what I want you to do is I want you to start in the middle. You always start with the middle and then do the sides, okay? So I'm going to draw I think I'm going to do mine with marker because I don't think you're going to be able to see. Let me try to do this with marker so you guys can see it better. So we're basically just practicing while we're letting our background dry and kind of making a stencil. I'm just tracing over that line so you can see. So I'm starting with the bottom of my vase. And again, remember, we want that line to be somewhere in the middle of this part of the vase, okay? And I'm starting in the center of my paper somewhere. It's not exactly centered, but... So start by doing that. Then when you're happy with that shape, you want to add the top of the vase. Now again, stop and look at the completed one. If you look closely, the top of the vase only goes to the middle of the canvas, okay? So if you look at my finger, it's lined up with the top of the vase, and that's about the middle of the canvas as well, okay? If you go too high with your vase, you're going to have less room for your flower, okay? So keep that in mind as well. So after you do the bottom, and that's where you want it to go, you're going to make the top, but try not to go much higher than the middle of your paper when you're adding the top of your vase. Okay? So again, we're pretending this paper is the canvas. This line is the top of our gray right here, just like on the canvas. So it should go kind of like halfway up the round part of the vase. And then we're going to go a little bit higher with the neck, and we don't want to go any higher than the middle of our paper with the top of our vase, okay? So now that you know the basics, I want you to practice, okay? You've got some more room. You can draw another one here. You can draw another one here. And then whatever one out of those three, do it 3 times, that you like the best, you're going to cut that one out, and you're going to use that one as a stencil, okay? If you want to do 3 different shapes, you can do that too, okay? So I want you to draw at least 3 vases on that line, just like I showed you. When you're done, pick your favorite one, get a pair of scissors, and cut out that one. You just need one, because then you could just trace that same one 3 times. But again, if you decide you want to have all like 3 different shapes, draw 3 different ones, and you'll have to cut all 3 of them out, okay? So I'm just going to sit here, wait for you guys to practice your vases. Or vases. Is it vases or vases? I don't know. Is it vases or vases?
Depends on
Depends where you're from and who you're talking to, isn't it? Oh, that's what I thought. Can you grab me the scissors, please? I don't really need to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Cut it out.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with my first one because I've done this before. So I'm going to cut that one out. Again, you're picking the one that you like the best, and you're going to cut it out. And we're pretty much just kind of taking our time with this because we want to make sure that our background is dry. So at least we're not sitting here wasting time. We're actually doing something productive while it's drying. Hey, so just for fun, why don't you guys tell me how many days you've been home? This is day number 12 for me. I believe it's number 12. Sunday will make 14, so yeah. And looks like I'm going to be home till probably the beginning of May like the kids. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, just curious if you want to tell me what day it is for you guys. Or some of you might still be working. If you're still working, let me know that too. Just curious. So I cut out my little vase. What? Why are you laughing?
Face you just made.
Face? Vase? I don't know. My husband's laughing at me.
Laughing with you.
So if you're done doing that, if you've already drawn it out, pick the one you like and cut it out. Why don't you figure out what colors you want your flowers to be? You're still going to need white because we need to do the vase white. We have to do everything white, actually. So everything has to start off white. You don't have to, but depending what color you use, you won't get the true color. Like if I wanted to do that yellow flower and I just put yellow paint over the brown background, it wouldn't look yellow. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to do it white first, but it all kind of depends what color you're using. But the right way to do it is to do everything in white first and then put the color over it. Funny. So let me check on the other painting. Let's see if it's dry or almost dry. All right. So it looks like the top of my canvas, if you pat it gently, the top of my canvas is dry. The bottom is still a little tiny bit damp, but it's almost there. Okay. So what we're going to do, when the bottom of your canvas is dry, you're going to take your little stencil and your pencil. Okay. It's kind of nice that that line is there. It's not going to line up exactly, obviously, but it's like a guide. So you're going to take it and you're going to put it in the middle. Always start with the middle one. You can kind of see, again, it's not lined up perfectly, but so you can kind of know where to put the vase. You're going to start with the one in the middle, okay? And that's where you're going to place it. And then with your pencil, when your background is dry, wait till it's dry. Use your pencil and trace around this. You'll see just enough to know where your vase is, okay? I know it's just a pencil and it's not that dark, but trust me, you'll see just enough that you need to be able to see where it was after. So after you do that, you're going to take this, after you do the middle one, move it off to the side, line it up again. Again, don't do them too close together. You need to leave enough space in between them, because if not, you have petals on your flowers. If you make the vases too close, you're not going to have enough room for all the petals, okay? So I'm going to trace mine. Okay, so you can see it really good actually. So I did the one in the middle. You guys can definitely see that, right? Okay. See where it's positioned. Now I'm going to do the other two on the sides, okay? So hopefully everyone is kind of at the same stage that I'm at right now. You guys can put the TV on, just don't put it too loud.
Bob's Burgers?
No, not Bob's Burgers. I thought you were outside with the fire pit. What happened to that? All done with that? All done with the fire pit?
Yep.
Okay, so I did my second one. You see how I left a little space in between? Okay, and then I'm going to do the third one. Now I have all three. Now I can get rid of this. Now we don't need it anymore. Unless you want to do it again. So when you guys are done tracing, we need some fresh white paint because we used our white paint to make gray. So you need some fresh white paint. Small brush. We're done with our big brushes. You don't need your big brush anymore. Small brushes only for the rest of this. Make sure it's nice and clean. Make sure that my small brush is clean, drying it off again. Okay. We're actually, believe it or not, we're not going to start painting the vases first. We're going to start doing our flowers first. Okay. And then that's going to give our flower, because we're painting the flower in white first. No matter what color you choose, we're going to try to do it in white first. That way you'll get your true color. Okay. It's the right way to do it. So we're going to do our flowers first. Then while the flower is drying, we're going to paint the vase. Okay. And then hopefully by the time we're done painting the vase, the flower will be dry enough to go back and add the colors that we want to it, okay? And then we're also going to add a second coat of white to our vase, okay? So let me explain something before we get started. I say this in every class. If you've done class with me, you're going to get sick of hearing it, but I have to go over it. So acrylic paint, it's kind of similar to using like paint on your wall. If you've ever painted a wall in your house, you never want to do that second coat of paint until your first coat is completely dry, okay? So it works that way with acrylic paint as well. So if you're painting and it's too light or it looks streaky, a lot of people, what they tend to do is just keep adding more paint, and you'll notice it really doesn't do anything, okay? So you need to just add one coat of paint, like no matter what color it is, leave it alone, let it completely dry, then you could add a second coat, maybe even a third coat, okay? But you can't just keep piling paint on top of it. It will do nothing, okay? And then it's going to take even longer to dry if you need to add more, okay? So we're going to all start off with white paint and our small brush, and we're going to do the center of our flowers. So let me give you a quick peek of the completed one first, and you can make it look different. It's okay, but this is what this looks like. We're going to start off by making a circle for our centers. We're going to do all three of them. You can make the centers all in the same spot. You can make one here, one. You can change it. They don't have to be exactly perfect or lined up, okay? But we're going to start by making circles for our centers with white paint. Then we're going to fill it in. And then we're going to continue using white paint to draw out the shape of our petals, okay? Again, it doesn't matter how many petals. Everyone's going to have a different amount of petals. Even if you look, I don't think all three of my flowers have the same exact amount of petals. I didn't count. Don't think of it that way, okay? It's nature. Nature doesn't work that way. So, starting off with our centers, white paint, small brush. Okay, before you do your center, keep in mind, you want to leave enough room above that center to make your full petal, okay? So, again, let me show you this again. You don't want to put that center too high because then you won't have enough room to add a full petal, okay? It's okay if the petal on the bottom touches the vase, but you want to still make sure you have enough for those top petals, okay? Because you don't want to squish them in there, okay? So I'm going to kind of look at this and see where I am because, again, it's hard upside down, and then I'll hold it up for you. So I'm going to make my center right about there. So if you look at that, you can see how I will have plenty of room around that circle to do the petals on top, bottom, and the sides, okay? So once you get that middle one in place, you can kind of see where the other ones will go. So do that for the other ones. And they can be different sizes. They don't have to be the same size. Okay? So make 3 circles for your center, giving yourself enough room to have the top petals, bottom petals. Okay? So once you have those where you want them, I'm not even adding any paint to my brush. I have just the paint that I used to make the circles. Is just enough to fill them in. You don't even need to add any paint most likely. I'm just using whatever's left over on my brush and going in a circular motion and filling in those circles. Okay? You don't want a lot of paint. If you do too much paint, it'll never be dry to add your color, okay? This white that we're doing is very, very thin coat. So now you can start drawing out your petals. I'm going to start with my top petal first, okay? And it kind of looks similar to when you're drawing like feathers from a turkey, like turkey feathers. If you remember being a kid and drawing turkeys at school, you want to kind of think about that shape. It's very similar. So I'm going to start with my top one. And it kind of ends at a point. So I can do this upside down. You can definitely do this. So that's kind of the shape that you're going for. Start with the top one first, okay? And then you're going to keep going all the way around, and you want them to touch, okay? So you don't want to leave any spaces. Okay? If you notice, they're touching. So don't leave any gaps in between. And just keep doing that all the way around your center. And some can be shorter than others. See, that one's a little bit shorter and a little bit thinner. It's a flower. Flowers aren't perfect. Okay, so just keep going all the way around. Don't worry about how many. Keep going. Okay, and I have room for one more. That kind of worked out perfect. Okay, so there you go. I think I did this flower better upside down than I did when I was right side up. Okay, so do that. When you're done, you're going to immediately fill this in, okay? Don't start drawing your other flowers yet. Draw this one out and immediately fill it in with a thin coat of white paint. Again, not a lot. Just start filling it in with a thin coat of white paint. Spread that out. It's okay if some of the brown shows through. We want just enough white so we get our true color later. We're going to lose the shape of our center for a little while, but we're going to bring that back later, okay? So we're just filling this whole thing in with a little bit of paint. Again, it's okay if some of that brown shows through. Okay? So it's going to look like this when you're done. Once you're done filling this one in, you're going to do the same thing to your other flowers, okay? So start working on those. So instead of doing this I was going to say feather, this petal straight up, I'm going to start at the top, but I'm going to start kind of off to the side a little bit so my flowers aren't all identical. So I am going to start on the top, but again, I'm going to kind of go off to the side a little bit so my flowers don't end up looking exactly the same. Because again, nature isn't like that. Okay, so it's a little bit different. Not a lot. What did you guys put on? A Lego movie. Yay.
don't know how to put it on. I paused it and then unpaused it.
Okay, so there you go. Second flower done. Before I start my third flower, I'm going to fill this in with a thin coat of white paint.
Wait, if you put on mute, they'll come up.
Okay. And now I'm going to do the same thing for my third flower. See, this one kind of is in the way. So I'm just going to pretend that like it's hiding. One more petal. Okay, and I'm just going to fill that one in as well. Filling in with a little bit of paint. Okay. Perfect. So as you can see, the white is a little bit translucent. I didn't cake on the paint. Just a little bit. Okay, this way it can dry quickly, okay?
Tomorrow, I'll probably be going by the time that you wake up.
So we're going to continue using white, so you don't have to rinse your brushes when you're done. We need to let those dry, and we're going to work on the vases while the flowers dry. You notice I moved the position of the table? It's better lighting over here. The lighting was hideous on the other direction. Oh, it was terrible. Lighting is everything. I even did my hair for you guys today. I know it looks terrible, but I washed it, straightened it a little bit. I'm not wearing a wig. And my roots, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm naturally brunette, like really like dark hair, like almost black. And I'm prematurely gray or white or whatever you want to call it. Like when I say white, like almost everything, like you can't even see. See, this is all like white, but you can't tell because it's blonde now. So like about 2 months ago, I started to go blonde. And I'm so glad I did, because now I can't really go get my hair done. I can, but I'm not going to. But you can hardly even tell that those are my roots, because it like blends in with the blonde a lot nicer. When I had the dark hair, like within like 2 weeks, you could see everything. It was horrible. I mean, I look a lot better as a brunette. I don't like hate myself as a blonde, but whatever. It's a lot less work now to do the roots. I can go a lot longer. Okay. So hopefully you're done with your flowers. If not, keep working on them, but we need to move on to the next step. So you already have your vases drawn out. So all you're going to do is color them in, like a coloring book. You're going to grab some white paint, again, thin coat of white, color in all 3 vases, okay? They're going to be white, okay? So they are white. We're just going to color them in. You are going to end up doing 2, maybe 3 coats on them. Again, thin coat. You need to leave it alone. Let it dry. Don't cake on the paint. Okay? So let's work on that together. So I'm just going to color in. I like to trace things first because it just keeps them looking neater. So I always trace before I color anything. Even as a child, I used to do that when I colored in with crayons. I would outline everything in like a darker shade first with my crayon. And then I would go back and color it in. Hey, is there a way to get the comments off the screen so I can see what I'm doing better? I'm going to try something. So hopefully nothing happens.
You might swipe it.
Like your comments are like in front of the screen, so it's hard for me to see. So I'm going to see if I press this button if the comments go away. Nope, that didn't work. That just made it so I could comment. I wonder if there's like a way to get the comments off the screen. Does anybody know? If anyone knows how to get the comments off the front of the screen, let me know. I don't want to touch anything now while I'm doing this. It's just like kind of hard because I can't really see. And I want to make sure that you can see. Alright, so I colored in the first one. I'm going to do that to all 3. Use a lot of white paint for this painting. So I hope you guys have a lot of white. Like, and next time you go shopping for paint, like don't waste your time getting those small bottles. Just get a big bottle of white, the biggest they have. Because even if you're not painting something solid white, you're going to use white for something. Like for instance, our background. The background isn't white, but we still had to use the white to do both of those colors in our background. Let's see. Tap empty space, not the comments. Might take a few tries. Swipe right. Okay, let's see. Yes! Swipe right! It worked! Thank you. Now I can see! Thank you.
You're welcome.
He said that.
You said that before?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you say that. Well, I guess my husband said it, but I tuned him out, so. Oh well. Like, I knew there had to be a way. Because, like, I've done makeup tutorials, and I'm trying to, like, look in the phone to do my makeup, and, like, all the comments are in the way, and I'm like, it makes no sense. But I'm, like, so afraid to do something while this is going on and lose it that it's like, ugh. Now I have to do another makeup tutorial. Might as well, right? Not that I'm going anywhere, but oh well. Okay, so again, you might not be here yet, and that's fine. I don't want to rush you. So this is where we're at right now. We've done all 3 flowers in white, letting those dry. I went back and I colored in all the vases in white. As you can see, they're still a little translucent. Just a thin coat, that's all you want. While we're letting everything dry, start thinking about what you want your flowers to look like. So let me put this down for a sec and grab the finished product. So for instance, with these flowers, everything's the same color. The center is the same color as the petals. You might want to make it look more like a real flower and make the center a different color than your petals. You can definitely do that, okay? I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. I saw this painting on Pinterest. This isn't my original painting. And this is how they did it. And this is the same colors that they used in everything. So again, start thinking what color you want your petals to be on each flower. If you're doing different colors for your centers. So start thinking about that while our white is drying. Okay. If you notice, if you've already started working on the vases, while you're doing that, your petals should be almost dry, hopefully. Your petals are almost dry. So for my colors, I'm just going to keep them all solid, just like those. I'm not going to do different color centers just to keep it simple. I'm just going to do turquoise, orange, and hot pink for my flowers. So I'm just going to grab those three colors and put them on my plate, since I'm sitting here anyway. Perfect. Also, if you're curious, if this is the first time doing any painting with me online at all, you might have noticed it says it's free, but it's $5 optional. What that means is I am asking for a donation, but only if you can afford it. If you cannot afford it, don't feel bad, okay? Only if you can afford it. My PayPal and Venmo is in the description of the event, but I'm also going to post it again later in the group. And then if you can't find it and you want it to send me something, you can always message me and I'll send you whatever info. But it's just PayPal and Venmo. All right. So I think that by now my middle flower, which is the one that I started with, is completely dry. So I'm going to choose a color. I think I'm going to put the turquoise one in the middle just because I don't want orange and pink next to each other. So I'm going to pick a color for my center flower. Again, we're only using small brushes. We're done with our big brush. Making sure it's clean and dry. If you're doing a different color for your center, do your center first and then do your petals. But I'm doing the whole flower blue. So basically just going to take whatever color I want and I'm going to draw my center back like that. I'm going to color it in. So you see how nice and bright that is? And that's because we did it in white first, okay? That's the reason why we did it in white. You don't always have to, but I just think it looks nicer and brighter, okay? So put your center back. You could do a different color for your petals. I'm just going to do everything the same. So I'm just going to go over all the white and make them turquoise or whatever color you want. And you should only need to do one coat. Because we did it white, one coat is probably going to be enough for your color. So start painting your flowers. Start with your middle flower because that one's probably dry, because that's the one that we started with first. So I have a question. So because I swiped those comments right, if somebody else wants to make a comment, will I be able to see it? So I gotta swipe left now to make sure nobody's commenting. Ah, okay. Oh, people are answering about how long they've been home now. 15. Oh, you got me beat, Michael. 9. All right. I think I said I was on 12, something like that. So again, just tracing each petal individually, and I'm going back and I'm filling it in. I love this color. I'm so glad this was one of the colors I chose. I wish I would have done this in the other one, but I wanted to make it look like the same picture. I'm almost done with this first one. Again, everyone works at their own pace. Don't try to rush to keep up with me. You can always go back and watch the video. Alright, so I finished my first one. Trying to look to see what it looks like. Both of them, they're all dry now, so it doesn't really matter which one I go to next. So I'm gonna get all this paint off my brush, and I think I'm gonna do my orange one next. Make sure it's dry.
Did you make that yourself, or did you take that off or something else?
Sorted myself. I saw a picture from it and then I just did different colors.
Now you're probably wondering, oh, we painted this solid, so I lost my center again. Well, if you look again at this one, we're going to kind of lightly outline our centers if you're doing the solid like I am. So that's how you bring the center back later, is with some white and black paint. Orange is not one of my favorite colors, but it works nice in this case. I'm just going to have this petal overlap my vase a little bit. Is anyone having a beverage right now while they paint? If you are, what kind of beverage are you having? I'm having ginger ale because my belly doesn't feel too good today. I feel better now, but earlier in the day, I wasn't feeling so great. So I've been drinking water and ginger ale all day. Oh, nice job. Should have your dad take a picture and put it on his Facebook. Show everybody what you did.
No.
No?
Put it on hers.
Leslie sent me a video of
Shelby's reaction.
Shelby's reaction to the toothless painting. Okay, so there's my second flower. Now I'm going to paint my last flower, and that's going to be pink. Again, you're using your own colors. You're being creative with this. I like this pink too. Ooh.
You like the whole secret. I'm gonna do something like that with butter and then like add a bunch of animals myself. Like a turtle. Octopus. How can I move?
An octopus just kind of longer.
Yeah. Maybe a sloth on his leg.
Is there anyone that's, let's see. Is there anyone that's ahead of me right now that's done with their flowers and waiting for me to catch up? And I don't want to go too slow or too fast. It's one of the reasons why I picked this one, because even if you fall like a step behind, it's really easy to catch up. It's not too complicated. So that's why if I do another adult one, it's going to be really simple. I'm not there to help anybody. It's tough, you know. And I can't go too slow. Got one more petal.
So much fun. So that's the only subject I wanted to do. I only completed two. Only one of them I wrote. The one that I didn't get.
And this one is touching that one, so I just gotta be super careful. There you go. See how that kind of looks cool? Like it's touching a little bit. Okay, so I'm done filling in all my flowers. You guys do that at your own pace. Once you're done doing the colored part of your flower, the white on your vase should be dry enough to add that second coat. So go ahead and add a second coat of white to your vase when you're done with your flowers. I'm just going to go over mine really quickly because, again, I can just show you on the complete one what to do. So I'm really not going to spend too much time adding a second coat of paint on these. Because that's pretty much all there is to the vase, is just paint them white like at least twice and then let them dry. And then there's like some accents, but we can do that if the paint is still a little bit white. It won't matter. Okay. So this is kind of where we're at right now. You're finishing adding the colors to your flower. And then you're going back and adding a second coat of white to the vase. The Lego movie's on, so I'm getting a little distracted. It's alright though, because I don't want to go any further. I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to catch up anyway. I don't really want to go too fast. Okay. So what I'm going to do next, and again, if you're not ready, just listen, okay? That way you'll know what to do. Because again, even if you're not caught up, you just have to look at the painting. It's not a big deal. You can kind of just look and copy it. So when you're done adding the colors to all three flowers, and you're done adding the second coat of white, then we're gonna start adding some shape to our petals. We're gonna continue with white, okay? So back to white again. Like I said, we're using a lot of white paint in this. So I'm gonna do this on just the turquoise one, okay? I'm not gonna do all of them because I can just show you the complete one at the end. So I'm just gonna do my turquoise flower, and that color is nice and dark. There's gonna be a lot of contrast with white so you can see the details, okay? So white paint, small brush. Let me grab some fresh white. I don't like working with old paint. As it sits there, it gets thick. So I'm gonna grab some fresh white paint. A lot easier to work with. Okay, so we're going to redefine our center, okay? So you can probably see where your circle was. If not, create a new one. So with my white paint, I'm going to find the center of my flower again, okay? Now, I'm not going to trace the petals, okay? I'm going to go around each petal, but I'm not going to trace the outside of the petal. I'm going to stay inside the petal, and you're going to see that up close, what I mean by that. So again, I'm continuing with white paint. Let me start on this petal right here. So you see what I did there? I'm not outlining the outside of the petal. I'm just making two curvy lines within the petal, okay? You're going to do that to all of your petals. And see how one's longer and one's shorter? You don't want the two lines on the same petal to be like the same exact length. You don't even want them to connect. You notice how they're not touching? Okay, so I'm going to do that again. So they're not touching and they're a little bit different. And it's inside the petal, not on the outside. You're not tracing in white. Okay? Don't think about it too much. And we're going to add black to this as well. So it's not going to stay looking like this, because I know it looks weird just like this. Okay? So you're going to trace your center first, and then you're going to make some curvy lines, two inside each petal, but you're not tracing the outside, and they're not going to be exactly the same. You see how one's got a shorter one, one's got a longer one. Don't think about it too much. So I'm only going to do my middle flower. We're going to pretend I did the other ones. But I'm not going to do it. Okay? And then also what I'm going to do, when I'm done doing this, I'm actually going to flip my brush. So I got the bristles right here. They're facing up. I'm going to flip my brush around, and I'm going to dip the back of my brush into the white. And I'm going to make a few white dots in my center, like that. But I'm doing that using the back of my brush, not the bristles, okay? So again, I outlined my center with white, made some white lines inside each petal like that, and then I used the bottom of my brush to make some dots in the center, okay? And then what's going to happen is if you look at the pink one. You see how I had the white, and then we're going to go back later with some black and kind of almost do it again. We're going to almost repeat that and overlap some of the white. So this white is going to end up going to this with a black and white. And if you don't want to do it like that, that's fine. I'm just teaching the way it is on the painting. You can do it your own way, okay? I'm just teaching what it looks like on the painting, okay? And I'm only going to do one flower. So I only want you to do one for now, because I'm going to move on to do a detail on the vase, okay? And then you could go back and you could do the rest of your flowers. Because once you do one flower, you're just copying it on the other flowers, okay? So after you do one flower, you're going to move on to the vase with me. Even if the second coat of white is a little bit wet, it doesn't matter for this part. So what I need you to do now is I need you to create a shade of gray that is darker than this. So you don't want black. You want a nice dark gray. Make sure it's a couple of shades darker than this. Okay, that's what I need you to do for this next step. And again, I'm only going to do one vase. I'm not going to do all of them. So the shade of gray needs to be darker than the bottom or else it won't show up. But you don't want it to be black though. Okay? Perfect. So let me show you the finished one and then I'll teach you how to do it, okay? So again, if you look here, do you see those curvy lines inside of the vase? It's inside and you're not tracing. So keep those curvy lines inside, okay? So now, to me, this is backwards, so hold on. So I'm doing this on this side, okay. So what I'm going to do is on the straight part, I'm going to make a straight line. Again, it's on the inside, it's not attached to anything, it's kind of just floating there. Okay. And then I'm going to leave a space. I'm not attaching any of these lines. Okay, so again, see how they're not touching? I'm leaving a little space. I'm going to kind of outline inside the vase. And then I'm going to do it again on the opposite side, but a smaller curve. I'm not going to make the curve as long. Okay. So see how that curve is kind of in the middle and it's a lot shorter than this side? So you're going to start by making a little line, leave a space, make a big curve, and then the opposite side make a small curve, okay? Make sure you're leaving yourself enough room if you wanted to write the words. Make sure you leave yourself enough room. Unless you have a really tiny brush with a point on it, I'm going to recommend you write the words with a Sharpie, okay? Because it's very difficult to write something in this small of a space with a paintbrush unless you have a really tiny pointy paintbrush, okay? So I'm going to recommend you do it in Sharpie. I did this in Sharpie. It's in cursive. You can write it in cursive or print it however you want, okay? So that's how you do the lines in the vase. Now we're going to add a shadow. So using that same shade of gray, just a little bit of paint, you don't want a big glob on your brush. You're going to almost like, you're not touching the bottom of the vase, okay? You're going to leave a little space. So I'm going to come closer in a minute, okay? Come as close as I can. So if you look closely, I'm not touching the bottom of the vase. I'm coming pretty close, but I'm not touching it. So I'm making a curve around the bottom. And then whatever's left on my brush, because you don't want to use a lot, I'm going to kind of keep going, but make that curve get smaller as we get to the bottom. And it looks kind of smudgy. So it'll look like a shadow. Okay? So if you look closely, see I kind of stopped so it dried out. I'm going to add more paint. But you're going to keep doing that back and forth and it gets a little bit smaller. Kind of think of like the shape of a tornado, like a funnel. That kind of do that kind of shape. I'm going to have to go back and add more paint because I stopped and it dried up. I think I have just enough paint to do this guy. Make it look a little bit nicer. Alright, so I darkened that up a little bit so it looks better now. Okay? So that's how you're going to add your shadow. So you're going to do that to all three. Same thing, and the shadow underneath all three. Not done with you yet, there's one more step. But that's it for the vase, okay? So, after you have both coats of white, do that. Hold it up again with a darker gray. You see how that gray is a little bit darker? It's not going to show up if you don't make it dark enough. But you also don't want it to be black. It's too harsh. So again, just do one vase for now, because then you could always go back later and copy it on all three. I don't want you to fall behind, okay? So after you do this, stop and stay with me, and then just repeat it 2 more times on your own, okay? So now we're going to go back to our flower, and we're going to go with solid black, okay? So we want just black paint for the rest. I'm going to get myself some fresh black paint. Now the same method that we used for our white, the same outlining method, we're going to do the same thing in black. But again, don't put a lot of paint on your brush, just a little bit, okay? So I'm going to kind of outline the center again, overlapping. You're not going to go over the white perfectly. You want some of the white to show. So I'm kind of going over the white, but you could still see some of the white. I'm not outlining it perfectly, okay? And then when you add, when you do the black on the petals, you're going to go out a little further. So you're not going to go over the white. You're going to go kind of on the outside of the white a little bit, okay? But again, you're not closing up your lines. There's still broken lines. So let me do it on this side. So some of it's getting overlapped, some of it isn't. Okay? And these aren't supposed to look like real flowers. So don't worry about it. Okay? I'm just kind of making them go a little bit closer to the center, but you don't have to do that. Okay? So now you've got your black and your white. And then remember how we did those white dots in the center? You're going to do the same thing. You're going to dip the back of your brush into the black and add a few black ones in there too. So you should have black and white dots in your center if you're doing it the same way as me. Looks a lot better that way, okay? So, again, I want you to just do one at a time and then go back and do the other 2. So just repeat the steps for this one on the other 2 flowers. And then once this white, like mine is completely dry. Once this white is completely dry, then you're going to go back with a marker, or like I said, if you're brave and you have a really tiny brush, you can go back and write the words. So I had to kind of write mine at an angle. I was nervous that if I did it perfectly straight that there wouldn't be enough room. So if you want, you can lightly, very lightly write it in pencil first if you're nervous, and then kind of go over it with marker or paint. So live, laugh, love. You can leave it blank. Some people did. You can write something else in it. You can do whatever you want with the wording, okay? So that's what that looks like. All right. So I don't have anything else to teach you, but if you want me to stay on a little bit longer, if you have any questions, I can stay on as long as you want, okay? So you're just repeating the step 2 more times on your flower, okay? So if you need me to hold up the painting again, or you have any questions at all, or you just want to tell me something, I'll stay on here for a few more minutes. So I'm going to just kind of sit here and hold this up. If you need me to bring it closer for any details, just let me know. So those are the lines on the vase. All right, guys, so if you have no more questions, I'm going to say goodnight. And I'm going to hold this up one more time. Okay? I hope everyone has a good night. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye-bye.